Hello my friends and welcome to this video today. So today I want to talk about one of the most important pieces of photography gear I own, and yeah, I want to talk about these guys here. And obviously this is a drone, and if you are new to the drone universe, I want to give you a few tips and tricks that you might want to consider before you buy your first drone. So let's get started. So this whole drone topic is super extensive, and I don't want to give a too comprehensive guide here now on every single detail because there are a ton of videos out there. This one will be more on the surface, and I also want to do a video series of this because there is so much to talk about when it comes to drones that I cannot fit everything in one video here. In this first video of the series, I want to talk about how to choose the right drone for you, what are the differences, and especially what you need to consider before buying one when it comes to the legal aspect. And what is also important to mention is that there are different categories of drones, and I want to talk about off-the-shelf camera drones for the general consumer market, and I don't want to talk about, for example, FPV drones. I mean, FPV drones are super cool. You can do this like crazy maneuvers, crazy stunts with these drones. Amazing shots can be done with them, but this is a whole different topic. Oftentimes they are self-built and you have to have a lot of skill and not a lot of knowledge if you want to do it. So this is really cool, but I'm not into this FPV drone topic. So yeah, as I said, I want to talk about normal off-the-shelf camera drones. So there are basically two main categories when it comes to these drones: the below 250 gram category and the above 250 gram category. 250 grams is around, I believe, 0.55 ounces in freedom units, if you want to call it like this. But yeah, this is really important, but why this is so important I will talk about in a second. But for now, let's see which drones you can get on the below 250 gram category. So in this category you will find drones like, for example, the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and these are great drones. For example, I used the DJI Mini 3 Pro last year when I went to Miami and Florida and took some amazing shots there. And why I couldn't bring my normal drone, the DJI Air 3, I will talk about that in a second as well. But yeah, the DJI Mini series is a great, very good series of drones. You can take amazing shots with them, and yeah, I definitely can recommend them. But there are also other drones in this category, for example the DJI Flip, and there are other super small drones out there like the DJI Flip that are more towards the people who just want to take short videos. For example, you want to do a vlog and you want to have a really easy setup to operate, then these drones might be good for you. But I believe if someone really happens to watch this video, they are more into this photography and cinematography game, and in this case I would recommend go for the DJI Mini series here. The world of drones above the 250 gram threshold is, it's really extensive. You know, you have the DJI Air series, which I happens to own one. You have the DJI Mavic series. I used to have a DJI Mavic 2 Pro, and nowadays there is the Mavic 3 Pro, and there are a few differences between those two drones, for example. And when you get really big, but you need different licenses for that, but I said in a second more on that topic, you have, for example, the DJI Inspire series. So yeah, as I said, I own a DJI Air 3. Nowadays there is the DJI Air 3S, which is even better, but I'm super happy with my DJI Air 3 because it is a super capable drone. You have really extensive flight times. I get up to 45-46 minutes on a single battery, which is basically more than enough for anything you could imagine. I've never flown longer than 29 minutes in a single flight, I believe, when I look at the records in the app. So I believe everything above 40 minutes should be fine for most people, and for most circumstances. Really depends on what you want to do with your drone, but as said, I believe this 45-minute flight time limit is basically top of the line, so you will most likely don't get much higher than that one with normal drones. Another benefit from the DJI Air 3 that, for example, the Mini series don't have is that they have a dual camera setup. You have a normal wide angle lens and you have a zoom lens, which is for some occasions really great, and I love this feature. Even though the zoom lens, the camera quality isn't exactly so good as on the normal lens that is to be expected. This one is fixed with the DJI Air 3S honestly, so this is pretty cool. But yeah, just one side note here on this. Another thing to mention here on the DJI Air 3 that I own is, as I said, it is a great drone, but the aperture on the lenses is fixed. You cannot change the aperture, and yeah, aperture is basically one of the most important settings you can have on a camera. So this is really not so great, and yeah, it's not too big of a deal honestly. But if, as I said, if you're into the photography game, please keep that in mind. A camera drone that does not have a fixed aperture is the Mavic series. The Mavic 3 Pro, for example. I used to have the Mavic 2 Pro, which was also a great camera drone. I will show you a few clips of this drone that I took a few years back. But yeah, the Mavic 3 Pro, it is an absolute beast. I love this drone, but I don't own one sadly, because yeah, it is relatively expensive. For example, you can buy the DJI Air 3 that I have, or the Air 3S, nowadays for around $1,200. And yeah, you can pay double the price for the Mavic 3 Pro. But as I said, it really depends on what you want to use the drone for. If you are a beginner, I would not recommend spending like $2,000 or $3,000 on a drone from the beginning on, but maybe start with something a little bit cheaper. But yeah, that's totally up to you, obviously. And yeah, the Mavic 3 has a triple camera setup, which is even better than the dual camera setup, obviously. You know, you can never have enough lenses basically and focal length. So this is really great. So now we come into the professional regime of drones basically, or the real pro regime, where you can honestly really film Hollywood films with your drone. And I'm talking about the DJI Inspire. And the DJI Inspire is, as I said, a professional camera drone. You have, interchangeable lens system on your drone, on your camera that is attached to the drone. You have professional hard drives that can save the files. And yeah, it's just a super stunning and amazing piece of equipment, but it can cost you as much as a small car, around $25,000 if you buy a few accessories. So this is really expensive, honestly. And for most people, it is really not necessary. You also need additional licensing to fly it. So I believe we can leave that drone aside for a moment, but just want to mention it because it is such a cool piece of equipment, honestly. So yeah, now let's talk about the legal aspects of flying a drone. And so if I talk about legal aspects, I'm obviously not a lawyer. So this is just a really quick overview on this topic. So if you want to buy a drone, please inform yourself beforehand before starting out and start flying the drone outside in areas where it might be forbidden or you don't have the right license. Yeah, so please keep that in mind. So as you might hear or know, I am from Germany, so Europe. So we have pretty strict rules here in Germany and Europe as well. But the rules are more or less identical, or at least comparable to the rules in North America and the United States. As I said, I've been to the US with a drone before and informed myself obviously before started flying there. So yeah, there are some things that are different, but most of them are pretty similar. For example, the 250 gram threshold. So there we are back at the beginning of the video basically where I talked about that, and that is also the reason why drones are basically spaced between these two categories. So below 250 grams, you don't need basically any license to fly it. You need to inform yourself before you're flying. There are forbidden areas even for 250 gram drones, that is for sure, but yeah, you don't need a license. If you want to fly a drone above 250 gram, you need a license. In Europe, for example, you have the A1 to A3 certificates for drone flying. And the equivalent in North America is the Trust certificate. You can look that up on the internet. Basically, in both cases, you need to learn a few things beforehand, and then you can do an online test, and then you will get an online certificate, and then you are basically allowed to fly these drones. As I said, there are a few more things to worry about here, so don't take for granted what I say here. But basically you need a certificate. In Europe at least, you will need insurance for your drone as well. I don't know about that in North America. As I said, you have to look it up. But the main point of this is that you need a lot more stuff if you want to fly above 250 grams. It's nothing too crazy, but you have to keep it in mind and inform yourself beforehand. And when it comes to flying these drones, I would recommend to always take a look at the designated drone map beforehand. For example, the DJI drones, the apps, they have a built-in map, and these built-in maps, they show hazard areas and no-fly zones, but not all of them. So the most important no-fly zones, like for example in near proximities to airports, which is really dangerous to fly there, so never do that. They show these zones, but there are a lot of other zones as well where flying might be forbidden, and it really depends on local laws basically. So as I said, always look them up before you fly. For example, national parks, they are a great example where flying might be forbidden, but there are other examples as well. And the fines here in Germany or Europe as well, and I believe in North America also, they are very high if you fly against the law and fly in areas where it is prohibited to fly. So as I said, keep all that in mind and inform yourself. This is basically the most important message of this video. In other areas, you might be allowed to fly drones below 250 grams, but not above 250 grams. So this is also something that you can keep in mind. I never heard of this since a few months ago, honestly, when I went to the Canary Islands, and I went to one specific area there where drone flying was forbidden for drones above 250 grams, but not for drones below 250 grams. So the rules can get pretty confusing. So always try to stay up to date and inform yourself before flight. And again, this video is not a comprehensive legal advisory in any way. So this is just a short overview over this topic. So now the last part of the video, I want to give you a few additional tips before buying a drone, because there are a few accessories to drones that might be really important for you and some that might not be so important. For example, what you want to have for your drone if you want to take videos and do some cinematography with it, you want to have ND filters. They are super important for filming, not just with normal cameras, but also with drones. Everyone who is into this cinematography hobby basically knows about ND filters, and that they are really important. So definitely would recommend buying a few of these. They are also not expensive, so this is a great way to improve the quality of your content without spending too much money, honestly. Another thing that you might want to consider when buying a drone is get an additional battery. When you buy a DJI drone, you always have the opportunity to buy the so-called Fly More combos. And with these Fly More combos, you will always get 3 batteries. And this is great, but I believe for most people, honestly, and for me also, 2 batteries is enough. As I said, I have my DJI Air 3 with a flight time of around 45 minutes, and this is a battery for it. And as I said, if I bring 2 batteries, I can fly for 1.5 hours, and this is basically enough. I've never come across a situation where I needed more than this, but some people might need more, so keep that in mind. But you can think about it beforehand, and then you can save a lot of money, honestly, if you buy just the things you really need. Another thing that I would definitely recommend is getting yourself a controller with a built-in display, so not like this one. So this is basically the standard DJI remote controller, which is great. You plug your phone inside it, and then you can go flying, and your phone is obviously the display then, which works fine most of the times. But there are times, for example, when your phone gets wet and the connectors are blocked, that you cannot fly. And I had the situations a few months back. I went to the Dominican Republic. We went to a super beautiful Caribbean island nearby, and I wanted to fly my drone around there, and I just couldn't because the controller just didn't recognize my phone. And it wasn't the controller's fault, obviously, it was the fault of my iPhone. But nonetheless, I couldn't fly, and it was so annoying. And I definitely would recommend buying a controller with a built-in display. So this is way easier. You will save a lot of time, and you will not get into the struggle that you want to fly the drone and you just can't because the connection doesn't work. So the last thing I want to talk about is again something that is a little bit related to the legal topic. And this is inform yourself before travel to distant countries and different countries. You might feel comfortable in your own country, you know the rules pretty well, but in different countries there are sometimes really different rules, and sometimes you aren't even allowed to bring a drone at all. For example, I did a cruise a few years back in the Arabian Sea basically. We started off in Dubai and then went around there, and yeah, it was totally forbidden to bring drones, and I already packed my drone inside my backpack before I realized it is forbidden. So I got it out again. I didn't know what would happen if I brought my drone there, but I don't want to find out. The worst case scenario is that they confiscate your drone and you are left without a drone, which is pretty bad and sad, honestly. In other countries there are basically no rules. For example, the Dominican Republic a few months back, but yeah, basically there were 2 rules only. Don't fly near the airport and don't kill anybody with your drone, and the second of these rules is optional, I believe. So yeah, it is yeah, so as I said, there are countries with nearly 0 rules, but inform yourself again. So this is basically it for this video. As I said, this is meant to be a video series where I have different parts and I explain different things in different parts. So yeah, let me know if you liked this video and enjoyed watching it. I definitely hope so. But for now, I wish you a great day and a great week, and I hope I see you in next week's video. So see you then and goodbye.